County and Whiteville City schools say there were no issues on the first day. All of the schools in those counties have at least one school resource officer on campus, and some larger schools may have 2 or more. Surf City schools are patrolled by the Surf City Police Department. We reached out to Bladen County school officials and are still waiting for a response. With students back in school, technology is top of mind. New Hanover and Pender County District Attorney Ben David says his office has made an internet safety contract for families to review with their kids on how to safely use devices online. David says a team of law enforcement and judicial leaders developed that contract. He says child predators use social media and the internet to target children, and many kids aren't aware of the signs or what steps to take if someone they don't know talks to them. The internet safety contract urges parents to discuss the amount of time their children are allowed online each day, only using apps approved by parents, and which images should not be posted on the internet. Law enforcement statewide have begun stepping up patrols to stop impaired drivers during the annual Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. Last year, more than 400 people died on North Carolina roads due to alcohol-related crashes, including 15 during the Labor Day holiday weekend. This year's campaign runs through September 11th. And UNCW faculty, staff, and students will commemorate the 4-year anniversary of Hurricane Florence with Wings Up for Wilmington, a day of service. It will take place on Saturday, September 17th. Volunteers will work with 24 organizations on various projects, from safety-related home repairs to planting in community gardens. The event also includes a campus-wide food drive throughout September to benefit Nourish NC. For more on these stories, you can head over to wwaytv3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. A bit unsettled at times on this Tuesday, but not as wet as it was on Monday. We'll be dealing with hit-or-miss downpours heading into the second half of the day as our temperatures inland of the coast get to where they should be for this time of year, into the upper 80s. Low to middle 80s will do it for coastal areas today, with a moderate risk for rip currents for east-facing beaches. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, temperatures drop back down into the low to middle 70s under partly cloudy skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY, WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
This week on All Things Brunswick, we're welcoming special guest Danny Ricciani to discuss being a gay conservative in today's environment and many other topics. All Things Brunswick, 6 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on the Big Talker Network.
If you're enjoying the content you find on Big Talker, any of your shows, all the hosts, you really need to make sure you're following and liking us on Facebook. There's a video section. You can watch all the live video of programs as they happen. You can also see video of past content that you may have missed for whatever reason. Plus, even better, you can share it with a friend. Let other people know how much you enjoy the Big Talker and the great content we provide, and interact with other listeners and the hosts in the comment section live as it happens. Big Talker Net on Facebook.
This week on Living Fit After 50, our guests will be Pam and Philip Howe of How to Run, a running program designed for those of us over 50. Join us Fridays at 1 p.m. right here on the Big Talker Network.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit the website at bigtalker.live, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices, which you can pair with your automobile's entertainment system and take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you want to be. As you just heard in the spot before this, you can pair or program your Siri or Alexa, Google Home, whatever, and have it wake you up to the Big Talker. Also peruse the schedule of content and send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have, because we cannot get better without you, without your feedback, without you being involved in our station. It is our station right here in Southeast North Carolina. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting day. I was hoping to have a new guest or a new host with us this morning. I'm not sure where he is. A little worried for him, actually. Not sure if he's hurt. 'Cause think about it, we aren't spring chickens anymore. And that could be the end of it. But until I find out what happened, we were supposed to have Chad Adams as our host. I mean, it is his show, really. I'm just marching time until he gets here. And, well, I guess it's time to look for penis jokes. Here we go. This looks like a great way to start. It's a dad thing. Come on, hop this thing up. I want to see it. This is coming out of news.com.au, written by Claire Hayek. New dad asks to move back home to sleep away from his newborn. A new dad has come up with an unconventional idea to get a proper night's sleep after recently having a baby. But to be clear, he did not have the baby. He just doesn't want to be anywhere near it. If there's one thing most new parents struggle with on a universal level, it's lack of sleep. One man has come up with an idea to combat his own tiredness, but others aren't so sure that it's a marriage-friendly solution, KidSpot reports. D.S., Darling's son, and his girlfriend recently had a baby, the new grandmother wrote in her post to Mumsnet. As you'd expect, they are being woken up during the night. D.S. has asked if he can move back in Monday through Friday so he can get a proper night's sleep, so he can concentrate on going to work and do his job effectively. The woman said she has no idea why her son is even asking this of her. Her husband says the idea is outrageous and he should just get on with it. Surely other new parents don't do this, she asked, adding, I get sleep deprivation is hard, but I'm not overly enamored with this idea. She later added that her son claimed to be doing everything when he returns home from work, from feeding and bathing to washing clothes and cooking, and his role requires him to be well rested as his lives depend on him. He also says his girlfriend doesn't mind if he taps out on weekdays. The woman said she doesn't want to be unsupportive and has asked others how they would respond to such a quest. One response said, tell him to grow up. People had a lot to say about the man's suggestion and how his mum should respond. You say no for the sake of his girlfriend's well-being, commented one person. You could also sit him down and explain this is what everyone else with kids goes through. Another asked how about he thinks of his wife's need to get some sleep too and takes the time to do his share of the nighttime care. Have a word with your son and tell him to grow up, chimed in a third. And some comments hit the nail on the head. Not only do you outright refuse, you also read him the riot act, said one person. How dare he try and duck out of his responsibilities like that? Another added there's a big difference between getting some uninterrupted sleep and moving out for 5 whole days a week just because he's tired. Would you even consider this if you were the girlfriend with a newborn baby? I guess hominis americanus is all over the planet. That's just, man. Anybody who's been a dad has to wake up, has to do their thing. That's right. If you have any comments on this story, please give us a call at 910-444-0281. I mean, yeah, there are times I'd like to move out for 5 days. It happened to me the summer of 1990. I was on the road with a metal band, and I was like, oh, my God, I could so get away from you people for a week. Not really. It was fun. Everything about touring was fun, even the miserable stuff. Right? You get to see the underside of just about every... No, I can't do that. Ooh, I didn't know we even had this. America's favorite pet. How's this? This is awesome. I didn't even know we had this. Woo! Wally Gator. This is coming from 6ABC, WHYY. Oh, it's an NPR station that's doing a story that was written by 6ABC, whoever the hell that is. I don't know. So, Wally Gator, the emotional support alligator, spotted cooling off in Philadelphia's Love Park. That's right. Wally Gator, an emotional support alligator in the running to be named America's favorite pet, made a stop by Philadelphia's Love Park this week. Wally Gator has become a TikTok sensation and is surely not your typical alligator. He is an emotional support alligator from a local reptile rescue. I don't know if I'm hip to having an emotional animal that can eat me without batting an eye. That just doesn't seem logical. Normally, an emotional support animal is something that at most might get a finger if it decides to snap at you. But this thing will take a leg. Wally's handler, is that what you call it? Joey Henney is currently undergoing radiation for prostate cancer, and Wally is his emotional support animal. He's a big supporter of people needing smiles, Henney said. He works with a lot of special needs adults and children. He puts thousands of smiles on people's faces almost every day. He comforts people when they're sad. He doesn't know why, but the 7-year-old gator has never attacked or shown aggression towards anything. Yes, they walk him on a leash, and his favorite treat is cheese puffs. If Wally looks familiar, he was the inspiration for the design of Alligator Loki on Disney+. I didn't even know that was a thing. So an emotional support alligator. I think I need to run this one by Jen and get her reaction to having an alligator as your emotional support animal. But I would 100% support the America's favorite pet. I mean, that should already have gone. That one should already be one. Because I have to admit, I am not super thrilled about having, another lap monster. Almost like what were the gremlins? Those things. At least the alligator, if you end up, emotionally overwhelmed by somebody, you can just feed them to the alligator. That was pretty cool. All right. And we're starting to get some volume back in our system. I don't know what happened there. It was really, really quiet. Hey, what's happening? Huh? All right, we're going to shift gears real quick. Let me see what I can do with this. All right, so that was not legit, but I have to make a new one. Stop it. I hate. All right. So. Oh, man. All right, looking for some new news stories. About being a new dad. That was pretty ridiculous. All right. Oh, we're going to split hairs now. I'm with you. All right. All right, I can do that. That's not a problem. How about yuppie hours? Yappy hour. I'm not very good at reading. High and dry, ladies and gentlemen. Completely abandoned in the cold right here. Ann Schmidt from Fox News writes about this Asbury Park joint. I don't want to see your app. New Jersey bar holds happy hour for dogs and owners called Yappy Hour. Wonder Bar in Asbury Park hosts Yappy Hour 5 days a week. A bar in New Jersey, beach town, allows guests to bring their pet dogs to happy hour. Wonder Bar is a bar and music venue in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where people can bring their furry friends several times a week for a fenced-in outdoor happy hour called Yappy Hour. For a $10 entrance fee, dogs can be let off their leashes to run in the sand and play in the sprinkler and plastic pools while their owners enjoy drinks at the outdoor bar, Reuters reported. The entrance fee goes to supporting animal welfare groups, according to the outlet. Dogs of all sizes can enjoy Yappy Hour on Saturdays and Sundays from 2 to 7, Thursdays and Fridays 3 to 6, and on Monday, Wonder Bar allows small dogs only at Yappy Hour from 3 to 6. The website says all dogs have to be spayed or neutered and have proof of a current rabies vaccine. You know, we should check that. We should do that with humans. You can't come near me unless I see a vaccine. Certainly for rabies. Though doggy bouncers watch the dogs to make sure they don't get too aggressive, according to Reuters, Wonder Bar also expects owners to be aware of their dog at all times and clean up after them, the bar website says. Yappy Hour is when the Wonder Bar plays host to our furry friends, Wonder Bar's website says. With plenty of fenced-in outdoor space, dogs can meet new friends, get some exercise, or just chill by the water bowl while their humans do some socializing of their own. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best pickup forms. You know, it's not like a pickup line. You know, did you get hurt when you fell from heaven? Right? But if you're going to talk to a girl, the best way to break that ice is to have a cute puppy or a hideously ugly, mangy mutt. Either of those two extremes is going to is going to garner some interest in the targeted mate. Well, that was short. Another 10 minutes before we make a break for it. Man, this morning's not going at all the way I thought it was. Man, just doing what I can with what I got. Oh, man. Let's go to Thailand. They got enough stuff happening over there. It's got to be interesting. This is going to be funny. Edited by Vihavya Sukeja. Elephant in Thailand rips handler in half after going crazy in extreme heat, says police. Livestock officers sedated the elephant with a dart from over 1,600 feet away so that the mahout's body... I don't know that word. So that the mahout's body could be recovered. I'm guessing that means handler or parent or whatever. In a horrifying incident, an elephant in Thailand ripped its handler in half after high temperatures likely made it go crazy. According to The Independent, the police informed that the incident took place at a rubber plantation in southern Thailand's Phang Nga, I don't know how to pronounce this, province last week. They believe that the elephant had grown frustrated at having to transport rubber wood in the hot weather. Holy mackerel. I mean, I understand not liking the gig you're in, but ripping the guy in half? Man, it's a good thing we have an adult on here, so I don't have to talk about, this poor guy in Thailand getting ripped in half. Morning, Andrew. How you doing?
I mean, I thought we were supposed to draw in quarter people instead of halving. Now, I'm not great on math, but it seems like 4 pieces would be a little better than 2 pieces, but maybe I'm just misremembering my history.
That could be it, but this was a very upset elephant in Thailand, and it just... hang on. On air, bro. Hang on. Andrew... I'd say I have to put your name up there. I'm having to change gears in the middle of everything. You had some fantastic guests on this morning talking about eminent domain, which I didn't get all of that story. If you can help me out with that.
Up in Chatham County, basically, your favorite person, Governor Roy Cooper.
Oh, that guy.
facilitated, and we've seen this before. Remember when we were talking about Boom Supersonic up in Greensboro?
Yeah, man.
They facilitated basically this Vietnamese EV company, electric vehicle company, that not only are they going to give them tax breaks, not only are they going to give them subsidies and things of this nature like they give all kinds of companies to come into North Carolina, they're going to give them land. The only problem was this particular batch of land in Chatham County has houses and businesses and at least one church on it. So they used eminent domain to take this land from the private property holders and give it to this private company. Now, I'll preface this with a couple things. I understand there's a good and proper usage of eminent domain where the government needs, like I talked about on the show, we're building a beltway around Fayetteville right now, 295 beltway. Basically, it's to get around Fort Bragg, through Fort Bragg, on 4-lane and all the way around Fayetteville because the traffic down here is god-awful horrible. And it's also a security risk because, remember, Fort Bragg was built to have open gates, so after 9/11, they had to figure out a way to try to... You're securing something the size of Rhode Island, okay? But it was designed to be open gates, and so putting a beltway, putting the 4-lane and some places 6-lane freeway through, because it's an elevated highway, so it's secure, through Fort Bragg, around Fort Bragg, and all the way down around Fayetteville it's going to be an economic growth. It's going to expand the zoning out here. It's a good thing. If you go look at the map of where they're expanding 295, they've worked on this for about 10 years. They have this is not in a straight line loop. They have snaked it around most of the existing major neighborhoods, right? Like, you can just look at the map and tell that they made a concerted effort to not take anything they didn't have to take, right? That's
pretty funny.
95 is where 95 is, so there's certain places this highway has to go, right? So they had eminent domain a few places and a few houses, but if you look at the map, there's a lot of squiggling on that road where they're going around, they had to go around some lake areas. They're building an entire section of it that's just elevated for about 4 or 5 miles because it's basically swampland. So they just built it elevated instead of trying to clean it and all that, which makes lots of sense. And, it's going to connect all the major roads and come out down around St. Paul's, down in that area. So it's a good project. It's a fair use of eminent domain. They took their time. It took years. They took as little as they possibly could, and then they took it, and the people that they took from are getting fair and just compensation. That's how that's supposed to work.
Okay.
If you read the piece Brooke lays out, and she talked about this morning, this was done. Now they've been working on 295 they've planned it for about 20 years, and they've been working on it for about 10 years now.
Okay.
And they're in the next to the last stage of it. They're getting ready to open this next section. They opened, and they got one more section to actually hook it into I-95. So it should be done sometime next year. So this is a long-term project. This thing with this company has only been a couple of months.
And the company is how
These
old?
people, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a startup company.
Yeah.
Now they're not startup as in they're just on paper like Boom Supersonic is. They actually have a factory and things like that, so it's not quite that bad. But they are an unproven. Like I talked with Brett. Like, it'd be one thing if it was Ford. If Ford comes in and goes, "We're going to build," or Hyundai's got the massive plant down in Alabama. Honda's got plants in West Virginia and South Carolina. I've been in the Honda plant, the small engine Honda plant in Buffalo, West Virginia, because the company I worked for at the time, they actually arranged us to go do a tour of how they do their management stuff, what they call the Toyota process, the lean process, how they streamline using worker ideas to improve their processes. We actually toured them. They opened them up. They opened up their books. They were very gracious. Very impressive how Toyota manages their business. I've been in their factories. So it'd be one thing if it was one of those companies going, yeah, we're going to build this. We're going to be here for 40 years. You know what you're getting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're going to get.
Right.
That's not what this is. So this unknown company that's unproven, we're going to take people's homes and businesses, and at least one church that we know of is getting eminent domain here, in order to build an EV factory.
For a company that's never built a car before.
And in North Carolina, about 2% of all cars are electric vehicles, and the polling data is about 14% of people are considering getting an electric vehicle.
Now, can I bring in somebody
That's a tough sell.
He's got some information on the eminent domain, I believe.
Sure.
Chad?
Hey.
Now, tell me about some eminent domain.
Well, everything Andrew's saying is correct. I mean, it was the biggest test of this was just over 20 years ago. And it was used up in Connecticut at one of those where they literally used economic domain was never intended to be used for business purposes. It's for roads. It's for needed infrastructure. It's for schools, these kind of things. You know, the government identifies, here's where a road is going. We have to acquire the property at a fair market price moving forward. And then I wish I could remember the name of the case, but it was a case up north, and they took it to court because they took people's homes for economic development purposes and incentives, and it was a horrible use because it essentially means, and then imagine, take it a step further than even Andrew did, which is if you wanted to use it against your political enemies, or you use government to take their home from them, or you take their property from them, you know, you can. That's how you can weaponize this. But let's go a step further. What he said is true in Chatham County, and that's my neck of the woods, or at least it has been for a very long time. You're right. Those people are devastated up there. It's an unproven company. It's not needed. But the economic development types always say that's needed. We need this. We need this, and so they don't discriminate between want and need. They really want that company, but do they need that company? Especially a company that hasn't proven anything. And if you want another example of where economic development went horribly awry, you can look at the Dell situation. Remember the Dell factory they built outside of Winston-Salem? They hired all this land and thousands of jobs. We gave them $30 million and $300 million, excuse me. The second highest bid for that plant was $30 million. That was in Virginia, so North Carolina got played. We get played every time on these things. And it ended up just shutting down. It never hired the people that it promised it would do. So there was all that time, effort, energy, and government that amounted to zero. The Randy Parton Theater up in Roanoke Rapids, they're going to build this giant thing, Dolly Parton's brother. What could possibly go wrong? The name of the company was Moonlight Bandit Productions. And they spent tens of millions of dollars to build this, you know, entertainment complex. You can now see it. It's a boondoggle. It never amounted to that. They went out of business. And you can see it if you drive north on I-95 on the right when you get near Roanoke Rapids. It's just the taxpayers are still paying for that.
Oh.
So these economic development projects always promise big. They typically underdeliver. It's difficult for the government to count jobs, and we get played. But it makes great headlines. It makes for great ribbon cuttings. And to Andrew's point, they're around Lake Jordan, they're at Chatham County, where the Deep and the Hollow River create the Cape Fear. It's great. Have the project. Let them go about doing what they're doing. But this is Andrew, I believe it's Vietnamese, isn't it? Vietnamese?
Yeah, it's a Vietnamese. And like I was telling him, it'd be one thing if it was Ford or Hyundai, or even I can't stand Tesla, but even Tesla, you know, they're actually going to build the freaking factory. Like I don't believe any of this, because I think you're going to end up with what you had up in Minnesota here, you know, with the Foxconn factory, where they still haven't turned any dirt over, and they're supposed to get 20,000 jobs or whatever that boondoggle was supposed to be. I never believe this, because they can get all their money on the front end, and then these companies can just not do it and write it off as a business loss or bankruptcy on the back end, and it doesn't hurt them, and these people are going to lose their homes. And
the economic development folks for the state and the Chatham County, and I served on an economic development committee in Lee County, adjacent to Chatham, and they always, it's so funny, they spend all this time, effort, energy, and they say, well, we have clawback provisions. If they don't produce the jobs, if they don't do this, they don't get all of the incentives. What they never tell you is the millions of dollars that they spend doing this and putting this deal together with all the staff time, all the government agencies that are involved, the waiving of permitting fees, getting all the people down there. There's millions of dollars of government activity, which is paid for with people who earn it. And then, you know, it never amounts to anything. And then worse yet, if you have a company that opens up and gets all of those incentives and one of their primary competitors doesn't get that, then the government has literally created a competitive advantage for one company over another by one company paying taxes and the other doesn't, which is how incentives typically work. They just don't pay taxes for X number of years or get it abated or get it refunded. And you can't call it a refund because that's illegal. And I used to love to do that in economic development meetings, saying, hey, we're giving them a refund. I said, no, that's illegal. You can't say rebate or refund. You call it a grant. So they pay $1 million and you give it back to them. You have to call it a grant. But it's really an illegal rebate. So these economic development projects are absolutely we've been played on them. Republicans and Democrats alike love them. They love to think that's the way things are done. But imagine if you did that for every company that created every job in North Carolina, you would have no tax base. You just wouldn't. It's a shame, but I tell you what, up in Chatham County, the buzz is, we're going to have all these new jobs, and we're going to build homes, and I've got a small farm up in Chatham, and you already get these unsolicited letters. Hey, we'd love to buy your farm for pennies on the dollar. It's going to be great. It's sad, and it just diminishes, and it means that every company, if Andrew, TK, and Chad wanted to go start a company, and we could produce enough documentation, then the government could give us, a rebate, a grant to create that.
Yeah, and I'm touching on this stuff. The house I grew up in, it was an eminent domain house because they lived down in the Gauley River Valley, and in the 60s, they dammed the river, so they had to move out of and of course, they were poor folks, so even the money they gave them, they still didn't have enough money for a house. You can go in my parents' house and look up at the floorboards in the basement. You can still see the paint because what they did was they took the general store apart, went up on the hill, and built a new house with it because they couldn't afford to build a house with the money they got from the dam. So, eminent domain is something kind of personal in our family because they all had to move back up on the mountain because they flooded the Gauley River Valley, made Summersville Lake, which worked out. I get it, flood control and whatever. That's good eminent domain. I was using the example of 295. That thing's been a 20-year project. You can look at the map and see where they squiggled it around neighborhoods. This thing was a couple of months. This thing had no due process. This thing just screams, hey, we're going to put a bullet point on a fundraising letter of look at this industry we brought in by, Roy Cooper, whoever else is involved, and they're going to tout it. And then 2 or 3 years from now, I wonder if anything at all, I wonder if they even build anything. I wonder if they have a single job. Is there going to be any local jobs? Because the other part they don't tell you is like, well, we're going to have jobs. And then they end up bringing in their own people, or they bring in people from another business, or they bring in people that already have that skill set. And the local, because I don't think there's a whole lot of EV people in Chatham County that have that experience. They'd have to be trained. They'd have to be taught up. Are they going to do that, or are they just going to bring in new people? There's a lot of lies, and they're little white lies that are told easily in politics, like, oh, we're going to bring back manufacturing jobs, but they don't do things like prepare the populace to be ready for those jobs, or they don't get guarantees in these contracts of you have to. When Toyota went into Buffalo, West Virginia, it's in their contracts because my company sent us there to tour their factory because they got their stuff together, right? It's in their contracts. The Japanese sat down with them and said, we will hire X amount of percentage of people for X amount of things. Like, it's in the contracts. They have to hire the West Virginia people. And it's been a wonderful business model for both the company and the people. I don't see anything here where they're guaranteed that they have to hire so many people from Chatham County or so many people from whatever the surrounding counties are. That's all basic due diligence stuff. And when you're doing this stuff in a tight time window, you've sat on these boards, you can speak to this. This stuff takes a long time to do. You can't do a deal like this in a couple of months and have it done correctly. It's impossible.
Don't know how it went all absolutely silent. Rats, I think we lost Chad.
Oh, well, I was making an excellent point, so it's all good.
Now, I do have a great story to follow in something that you and Chad are both familiar with, and myself.
Yeah.
Coming from paddleyourown.canoe.com.
Wait, what?
That's the people who wrote it, and I cannot pronounce the guy. It's a Polish name who wrote the article.
That is a fantastic website name. I'm jealous of that domain name.
And it's spelled Kanoo for canoe. So apparently, airline reroutes plane with passengers on board 325 miles in the wrong direction to pick up an extra crew member.
We did that to Kofi Annan. We did that to Kofi Annan one time, but that's another story for another day. And I'm not sure what the statute of limitations are on that.
A plane load of passengers were taken to the wrong country so that their airline could pick up an extra crew member before continuing on to the intended destination. And it wasn't even a one-off occurrence. The airline made the unexpected stop twice in just 1 week. The latest incident saw passengers aboard a TUI Airways flight from Norwich in the east of England to the Greek holiday resort of Corfu sent nearly 320...
Corfu. One of the most beautiful places on earth, Corfu.
Well, they were sent nearly 325 miles in the wrong direction to pick up a crew member in Belfast.
Now, hold on. Now, here's the thing. The military en route is in Shannon, Ireland. And the running joke was always you couldn't send any aircraft within 500 miles of Ireland because they will break in Shannon.
And by break, that means they would just figure out a way for their crew day to run out or something breaks on the plane. They have to spend the night, get their per diem, and get to spend the night in Ireland and go drinking and whatever. So there's actually a running joke in the Air Force about you can't send planes within so many miles of Shannon, Ireland because they will break in Shannon, Ireland. So there is truth to the pun, my friend.
Well then, once on the ground in Belfast, an extra crew member boarded the plane and the Boeing 737 made its way to Corfu? It sounds
Corfu.
On a route that saw it pass straight back over Norwich, where it had just come from. The diversion, the diversion cost the airline an additional 650 miles in fuel and resulted in the passengers getting to their intended destination nearly 2.5 hours late.
And flight hours are running about $30,000 a flight hour right now, minimum of 2 hours of flight. So you can do your own math on how much that cost them.
I'm thinking that has to be one super special crew member.
No, I'm thinking somebody got fired right after that.
Oh yeah, they needed somebody to make coffee. That's what it was. They had the wrong coffee maker person on the flight. So they stopped everything they were doing and went to Belfast to go get the right coffee maker guy.
You need to get Yalel because this is one of his favorite things to rail on. But the regulation in the airline industry is so pathetically bad. And I did air transportation. That's what I started out doing. My initial career. The regulation in the airline industry is so bad and so oppressive and so ridiculous. You would be amazed how much you could get airline costs down if you just got rid of some of the regulation. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
because you have gate fees, and then you have franchising fees for those gates, and then you have, the operating fees, and then you have it's a laundry list of just extra crap that is not necessary for airline flight and passenger movement and freight movement. But it's all, and the problem is all the regulations were written in the 50s and they've never updated most of them. Most of the airport regulations, like the way the gating system works, that was all written back in the 50s and they were last updated in the 70s.
Okay.
Like it's so antiquated. We're literally running our airports on, it's like running our airports on an abacus instead of in an iPad age. That's what we're doing with our airlines, and people wonder why it doesn't work right. It's like, well, that's why the regulation is so archaic.
And this reason kind of falls in line, not quite in the same vein, but the reason for the bizarre diversion is down to the fact that the plane actually belongs to Canada's Sunwing Airlines and is
because the airlines they all loan their planes out to each other.
Yeah, so they're loaned to TUI Airways over Europe's busy summer holiday season. Now, while TUI's cabin crew are trained to operate on the leased aircraft, only Sunwing's own pilots are licensed to fly Sunwing aircraft, which can throw up staffing challenges when the plane is operating away from its home base in Canada.
So did they hijack the guy, or did they have to go get the guy to stay in regulations?
Well, apparently Sunwing only has a handful of pilots in Europe working on behalf of TUI. So when someone goes sick or is unable to work a flight, there might not be a replacement pilot available.
So I'm just speculating. This is a WAG. You know what a WAG is? WAG. This is just a WAG.
Oh, wild guess.
I bet you they had to go get this guy to get back in regulations is what this is going to come down to, because otherwise they'd all get fired.
Well, they had two choices.
So the fact that they haven't fired anybody yet, I'm betting that they started their thing and went, oh crap, we're out of regulations. We better go. Who's the closest guy we got? Well, and by airline miles, 300 by air 300 miles is nothing. That's like you going from
That's like an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, that's Cary to Morrisville. That's no big. That's Leland to Wilmington. That's nothing. That's 10 minutes. Yeah, okay. I'm going to guess that what happened here was they started their route and went, oh no, or somebody called them and went, you're running illegal. You got to fix this. So they just went, where's the nearest guy we can get that's got crew hours? And that was the nearest guy, and they went and got him.
Either cancel a flight.
I'm betting that's what happened.
They had the choice of either.
Well, you can't do that. You already got them. You can't do that. You already got the passengers on the plane now.
It's a different flight. Here's what's going on: either cancel a flight or send a plane to pick up the other crew member
No,
who is needed to operate. Because what's happening is when this plane lands, it becomes a different flight with a new crew.
No. You can't run empty though. So what they're doing is
they've got the passengers, so the flight's made its money, or it's at least not going to lose as much money. So they're just going to go get the guy with the passengers, is what they did.
Right, because when the flight continues on from Corfu, it was going to be
same
a
reason
different crew,
that's
and
why
they didn't have it.
Right, that's why they deadhead crews, because it doesn't cost them anything to move them that way. They're moving them it's already baked into the cost, so it's no additional cost. So that's why they deadhead crews all the time.
With a body in it is cheaper
Correct.
For the airline. But in this case, they needed a crew for the next flight.
Yeah, airlines are like the trucking industry. The absolute death is you never want to run empty. Don't ever run empty. And anytime you're running an empty plane or ferrying a plane, you're losing gobs of. It takes you multiple flights full of passengers to make up for a ferry flight. That's how much money you waste on an empty aircraft. So that's what they're doing. They're like, oh, we'll just reroute it with the passengers on there, and then that way it looks right on the balance sheet. That's what that was.
What a great idea. Well, I tell you what, I need to take a news break.
I got to jump anyway. I got Fox at 8:45. So,
dude, I appreciate your time. That was fun with you and Chad.
Anytime.
Getting more and more adults.
You get Chad back, tell him I said hi, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
I appreciate it, man, and we will see you soon. Have a great hit this morning.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right, so with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I just got to find my music. It's on the other side of my body. There we go. That's it. That's your mellow Tuesday morning rendition. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after these messages right here on The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. The first full week of classes officially underway as thousands of traditional school students across the Cape Fear headed back to class yesterday. New Hanover, Pender, Brunswick, Columbus County, and Whiteville City schools say there were no issues on the first day. All of the schools in those counties have at least one school resource officer on campus, and some larger schools may have two or more. Surf City schools are patrolled by the Surf City Police Department. We reached out to Bladen County school officials and are still waiting for a response. With students back in school, technology is top of mind. New Hanover and Pender County District Attorney Ben David says his office has made an internet safety contract for families to review with their kids on how to safely use devices online. David says a team of law enforcement and judicial leaders developed that contract. He says child predators use social media and the internet to target children, and many kids aren't aware of the signs or what steps to take if someone they don't know talks to them. The internet safety contract urges parents to discuss the amount of time their children are allowed online each day, only using apps approved by parents, and which images should not be posted on the internet. Law enforcement statewide have begun stepping up patrols to stop impaired drivers during the annual Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. Last year, more than 400 people died on North Carolina roads due to alcohol-related crashes, including 15 during the Labor Day holiday weekend. This year's campaign runs through September 11th. And UNCW faculty, staff, and students will commemorate the 4-year anniversary of Hurricane Florence with Wings Up for Wilmington, a day of service. It will take place on Saturday, September 17th. Volunteers will work with 24 organizations on various projects, from safety-related home repairs to planting in community gardens. The event also includes a campus-wide food drive throughout September to benefit Nourish NC. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. A bit unsettled at times on this Tuesday, but not as wet as it was on Monday. We'll be dealing with hit or miss downpours heading into the second half of the day as our temperatures inland of the coast get to where they should be for this time of year, into the upper 80s. Low to middle 80s will do it for coastal areas today, with a moderate risk for rip currents for east-facing beaches. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, temperatures drop back down into the low to middle 70s under partly cloudy skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY, WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
This week on All Things Brunswick, we're welcoming special guest Danny Richowney to discuss being a gay conservative in today's environment and many other topics. All Things Brunswick, 6 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on the Big Talker Network.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the tackle box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The tackle box offers fresh local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the BigTalker.live is the website, BigTalker.live. Please download the app for the Android and iOS devices, which you can then pair with your automobile's entertainment system and take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you want to be. That's right, welcome back. We're going to have some more fun with this story. While TUI's cabin crew are trained to operate, they can only fly pilots. Pilots only from Sunwing can fly this. There's only a handful of pilots in all of Europe working on behalf of TUI, so when someone goes sick or isn't able to work a flight, there might not be a replacement pilot available. So, here we go. TUI and Sunwing had limited options. Either cancel the flight. Let's see. Oh, it's spun around. Oh, it's not updating. Okay, never mind. Well, just be careful when flying to the island of Greece, because you may not have a pilot, or you're going to have to go pick one up. And it's not exactly like running down the street to pick up your buddy, but, you know. Yeah, I'm just waiting on, come on now. Bing, 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 bing. Wow, this is pathetic, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's just boot the whole thing up again. We'll try again. This is pretty bad. All right. Okay, maybe we got something moving here. Take two. All right. Right on, right on, right on. Oh, yo. Hey, look at that. It's loading. It's doing its thing. I might have a story here. Here we go. It's an interesting one. I was trying to get to it and it blew up. How about this story? It's along the lines of how to lose your job in one easy step. Coming out of USA Today, written by Stephanie Dazio. Stop it, I don't want to see it. No, get away from me. Stop with the crap on your website, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thieves stole millions in jewelry from Brinks truck while driver was asleep, lawsuit says. Coming out of Los Angeles, California, one of the drivers of a Brinks tractor trailer was asleep and parked near a remote California rest stop earlier this summer when thieves stole millions of dollars worth of jewelry and gemstones, according to a lawsuit filed by the security company. While the second driver was getting in food inside the rest stop early July 1, spending nearly 30 minutes away from the vehicle, the thieves stole 22 bags of jewelry from the vehicle and fled. The heist nabbed a haul that's been described by some as worth less than $10 million and others as by some as worth less than $10 million and others as worth roughly $100 million. And the value is now the subject of 2 lawsuits filed this month. If the latter figure is accurate, it would be one of the largest jewelry thefts in modern history. Oh, man. But Brinks, in a federal lawsuit filed August 4 in New York, stated that the pickup manifest signed by the jewelers reported a total of $8.7 million worth of merchandise in the 22 stolen bags. The security company's lawsuit alleges that the jewelers underdeclared the value of the items that were being transported, and the company is only responsible for the declared value. The theft occurred near the Flying J rest stop and gas station in the unincorporated community of Lebec, about 75 miles north of downtown Los Angeles, as the items were being sent overnight from a jewelry show in the San Francisco Bay Area down to the Los Angeles region for another event. Brinks is seeking to limit potential payouts to the jewelers who say their cargo was worth $100 million and that the security company is trying to deny compensation to its customers for a theft its drivers practically invited to happen. I need to stop and contest. Somebody knew that there's okay, a Brinks truck being unlocked is stupid in the first place. I don't even know how that happened. But somebody had to know that truck was going to be there. Somebody had to know these jewelry things were happening. Right? This is not a surprise. This is people knowing what's happening, right? They knew what was coming. They knew what was in that truck. You are not going to convince me otherwise. Ha! 10 million, 100 million, it doesn't matter to the thieves. They don't care. Right? To them, they're just like, hey, we could hit the nearest pawn shop and we could retire on what we just stole. What a great idea. Let's do that. Ha! And of course, these thieves are Americans. Hominis Americanus. So yeah, drivers didn't invite it to happen. They pretty much, somebody knew. And the thing is, if you lose your job as a Brinks driver and you got $100 million in jewelry, is there a trade? 14 jewelers and jewelry companies alleged breach of contract and negligence in a lawsuit filed Monday against Brinks in Los Angeles County Superior Court. Everyone in our group has been emotionally and financially destroyed, the plaintiffs said in a statement on Tuesday. Okay, financially maybe because you invested in some rocks. But emotionally, if you are that attached to a rock, you deserve to be emotionally destroyed. That's all there is to it. Quote, we are lost and do not know what comes next in our lives. Whatever plans we all have for the future for our businesses and our families has evaporated in an instant. That's the risk you run. And not having a marketable skill to fall back on is probably your own fault. A spokesman for Brinks declined to comment to the Associated Press on Tuesday, citing the pending litigation. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Sergeant who was investigating the case did not respond to a request for comment. Los Angeles Times first reported the lawsuits on Tuesday. Brinks' lawsuit states that the driver left his partner in the big rig sleeping berth while he went to get food, a move the company says was per Department of Transportation regulations. He was gone for 27 minutes and returned to find the lock broken, though the sleeping driver said he hadn't seen or heard anything unusual. According to the lawsuit, it was not immediately clear whether the driver was supposed to be gone for so long and if the sleeping berth is soundproof. Okay, so it wasn't exactly a setup, but man, that's brutal. I mean, that's some ganas to step right up and cut the lock on a Brinks truck and dive in. In their lawsuit, the, quote, mom and pop, unquote, jewelers are seeking $100 million in damages and $100 million in restitution from Brinks. The jewelers allege that a Brinks employee told them to undervalue their merchandise on the pickup manifest in order to save money because the cost of shipping would be too expensive if they declared the full value of their goods. Whoops. We are astounded by Brinks' lack of support for their longtime customers who thought they were in safe hands with Brinks. Jerry Kroll, an attorney for the jewelers, said in a statement, after relying on Brinks for their guarded transportation services, our clients have lost virtually everything in this theft, including their sources of income. This is why I don't do investments, right? Because if it tanks and you're all relying on it thinking you're going to be flying to Corfu on a airplane that's been rerouted to pick up crew members or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're worthless. Absolutely worthless. You don't have a dime to your name. And now all the litigation happens and nobody can pay bills because there's nobody who can step up and say, all right, I'm going down to Poe's restaurant on Wrightsville Beach and wash dishes for $11 an hour until we get our feet back on the ground. That's not going to happen. I wouldn't trust that guy to, well, anyway. I don't trust anybody. That's me, though. That's just me. Still, I'm going to revisit this story because we didn't get to finish it, and I got 4 minutes before the break. So, bring back the story of the killer elephant that was pissed off after moving rubber tree plants in the middle of the heat. All right. The elephant had grown frustrated at having to transport rubber wood in the hot weather. The male elephant, named Pom Pam, stabbed 32-year-old, I am not going to pronounce that, handler with its tusks multiple times, tearing his body in half. The preliminary investigation determined that Mr. Wong Fei brought the elephant to haul wood at the plantation that morning. However, due to the scorching heat, the 20-year-old tusker went crazy and attacked the mahout. Following the incident, livestock officers found the body of Mr. Wong Fei in a pool of blood. Fox News reported officials used a dart gun to sedate the elephant so the mahout's body could be recovered. Wong Fei was the son of the former mayor of the district. Meanwhile, in another similar incident, an elephant in Nakhon Sri Tamarat province stabbed his handler to death last month and stood over his corpse for hours. As per the outlet, the police suspected that the tusker was stressed from the work. It is yet another stark reminder that Asian elephants are and always remained wild animals that can attack and kill when they are abused or overly stressed by humans. Elephants are known for being gentle, however, they can become aggressive when they feel harassed, vulnerable, or threatened. Experts also believe that climate change can cause pressure like diminished food and water supply, which can lead to increased conflict among elephants in the wild. Brutal. So yeah, don't jack your elephants, man. You'll mess them up. I mean, that's just crazy. And I thought he was going to be ripped apart by his prehensile proboscis. But no, he was gored to death with those massive tusks. Oh my goodness. They have a picture of Pom Pam here. And he's a little bit bigger than a bread box. And those tusks are probably enough to go straight through a human being with ease. So yeah, being gored a couple of times by that thing would probably be more than enough to rip a person in half. So, just a thought, ladies and gentlemen. If ever you're working with a elephant bigger than you, chances are you don't want to upset the thing, because it will probably lose its mind and gore you to death. All right, we're going to look up some more stories during the break, and when we come back, it'll be more of the asylum right here on the Big Talker. So, yeah, baby. Enjoy the groove. Yeah. That's it. Okay. Don't go nowhere. The asylum, your refuge in the world. I'm happy. Be right back after all you men. You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
Folks, you know you're all looking for that special gift. Lines are long, traffic is frustrating, supply chains in the news. Just take a deep breath. If you're anywhere near Oak Island, come by Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive. Avoid the traffic, the lines, the frustration, and get that extraordinary and special gift. From high-end diamond rings to Larimar, from necklaces to bracelets, watches, and unique jewelry. And you also get one-on-one service with their experienced staff. Great prices now just in time for the holidays. Come by and check out Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive.
This week on All Things Brunswick, we're welcoming special guest Danny Ricciani to discuss being a gay conservative in today's environment and many other topics. All Things Brunswick, 6 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on the Big Talker Network.
Join Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. The first full week of classes officially underway as thousands of traditional school students across the Cape Fear headed back to class yesterday. New Hanover, Pender, Brunswick, Columbus County, and Whiteville City Schools say there were no issues on the first day. All of the schools in those counties have at least one school resource officer on campus, and some larger schools may have 2 or more. Surf City schools are patrolled by the Surf City Police Department. We reached out to Bladen County school officials and are still waiting for a response. With students back in school, technology is top of mind. New Hanover and Pender County District Attorney Ben David says his office has made an internet safety contract for families to review with their kids on how to safely use devices online. David says a team of law enforcement and judicial leaders developed that contract. He says child predators use social media and the internet to target children, and many kids aren't aware of the signs or what steps to take if someone they don't know talks to them. The internet safety contract urges parents to discuss the amount of time their children are allowed online each day, only using apps approved by parents, and which images should not be posted on the internet. Law enforcement statewide have begun stepping up patrols to stop impaired drivers during the annual Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. Last year, more than 400 people died on North Carolina roads due to alcohol-related crashes, including 15 during the Labor Day holiday weekend. This year's campaign runs through September 11th. And UNCW faculty, staff, and students will commemorate the 4-year anniversary of Hurricane Florence with Wings Up for Wilmington, a day of service. It will take place on Saturday, September 17th. Volunteers will work with 24 organizations on various projects, from safety-related home repairs to planting in community gardens. The event also includes a campus-wide food drive throughout September to benefit Nourish NC. For more on these stories, you can head over to wwaytv3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. A bit unsettled at times on this Tuesday, but not as wet as it was on Monday. We'll be dealing with hit or miss downpours heading into the second half of the day as our temperatures inland of the coast get to where they should be for this time of year, into the upper 80s. Low to middle 80s will do it for coastal areas today, with a moderate risk for rip currents for east-facing beaches. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, temperatures drop back down into the low to middle 70s under partly cloudy skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY, WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro in the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Join Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit the Big Talker website, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. Pair that smart device with your automotive entertainment system, and you can take the Big Talker everywhere you want to be. Peruse our schedule of content so you know when your favorite program will be airing on the Big Talker Listen Live app. And you can send an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, critiques you may have, because we can't improve without your feedback, and that's sort of what we're going for here. And now I've got something to warn you about the state of Texas. That's right. Texas is a violent, dangerous state. Everybody there is out of control. If you don't believe me, here's a story coming out of DFW, Fox News, Fox 4 News, whatever, Fox. Wrong order at Wendy's leads to shooting, Frisco police say. That's right, 3 of America's best, Texas best, the best thugs, only the best thugs. We got the great thugs, the best thugs. The thugs are Christian Ellis, Shakita Glaspie, and Tyran McLeod. Coming out of Frisco, Texas, a fight over an incorrect order at Wendy's ended in gunfire, according to Frisco police. Yeah, just carry your guns around with you everywhere you want to be. 3 people have been arrested in connection to the shooting. Around 8 p.m. on Wednesday, August 17, police responded to a shooting call at the Wendy's on El Dorado Parkway. According to officers, a customer in the drive-thru was unhappy with their order and then entered the store and began arguing with workers. Police say the customer went to his vehicle and grabbed a gun, shooting at the front of the building before driving off. No one was hit in the shooting, obviously, because the guy is a horrible, horrible thug and could not hit the side of a barn if he had to. Be lucky if he hit the building at all. Frisco police arrested the Mensa reject 19-year-old Christian Ellis of Glen Heights on Friday and charged him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. His mom raised him right. Oh, look at this. 19-year-old Tyran McLeod and then 33-year-old girl Shakita Glaspie of Little Elm, who police believe were in the car at the time of the shooting, were also arrested and charged with failure to report a felony. If convicted, Ellis faces up to 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. He was released from Collin County Jail after posting a $100,000 bond. Now, my question is, how did he come up with a $100,000 bond? This thug is he's 19 years old. He's not sitting on top of, a Tesla empire. He doesn't look like he's got the ability to add 2 digits together. I mean, he's probably abandoned education for a thug life. And, I'm surprised that there's not more information, like maybe things that were maybe possibly found in the car besides the gun, which was probably stolen and not registered. I mean, come on, we need to know more about this. But these 3 thugs decided that the way to resolve a situation is to fire at other people who are barely making enough money to survive. I hope your parents are proud. Again, the Christian Ellis, 19-year-old genius, 33-year-old Shakita Glaspie, whom I'm guessing is the girlfriend of both of these guys, because they're 19, she's 33. And then, of course, Tyran McLeod. These are going to be charges that stick with you for the rest of your life. You are now known as a gun-toting thug. And Christian Ellis, I don't think how much of a Christian he is for firing into a Wendy's because he didn't get his way. Oh, my God. And that just seems to be the reaction of the entire population in the United States right now. I don't like what you did, so we're going to have a riot in the streets. You served a search warrant on my personal Jesus, and now we're going to bomb the FBI and the DOJ, and we're just all going to riot in the streets. And, man, we've just lost our goddamn minds. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why they even bothered to arrest him. What they should have done was just choked him with burgers. Here you go. Here's all the Wendy's burgers that you didn't want. I don't know. That's just... Is there any way to really correct for that? Oh, we can arrest him. He's out on a $100,000 bond and probably has another gun. What are you going to do about that? How can you stop that type of stuff, man? You can't. Because, again, all the gun regulation, all the checks and all that stuff, it only works for the people that are responsible gun owners. These 3 thugs, obviously, are not going to be buying their guns through a registered firearm dealer, right? Not at all. Ain't gonna happen. Give me my last one. I need this guy's name. Again, Christian Ellis. And this is part of the problem with just being able for anybody in Texas to have a gun. I mean, having a gun and being responsible with a gun and finding the people who are doing things with guns and getting guns that should not have guns. None of these 3 people should have guns. And they did it to themselves. Here's the other part of it, right? When you decided to this is not an accident, right? Christian Ellis didn't accidentally go to his car and accidentally fire into the building. This was a conscious act on his behalf. This was a conscious decision. I didn't know about it, Alice. Did I? I hope, is it, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Mr. I don't know. I have Redmond. I did not know about the 7 people killed. I should look into that. I will do a quick Google search. I mean, anybody doing shoot-ups is stupid because the people doing the shooting shouldn't have a gun in the first place, and all the laws that you make are not going to keep the guns out of their hands. 7 people killed in Chicago. What do we got? 30 shot over the weekend. Holy cow. Yeah, I'm not going to I was in Chicago a long time ago. I got to see George Benson live. Oh, that was an amazing show. We were in that town for like 5 days or something, and it was absolutely wonderful. But I didn't get shot. That was the amazing part. Coming out of WTTW, a PBS affiliate, apparently. I'm not sure where. This article written by Matt Masterson. Thanks for pointing this out. I don't know if I can comment until I read it. So, it's probably a bad thing. 7 people killed. Okay, that's a bad thing. More than 30 shot over the weekend in Chicago. That's a bad thing. Unless it's all the thugs taking care of themselves. That would be fine. 7 people were killed and more than 30 shot over the weekend. According to Chicago Police Department data, 6 people were fatally shot, 1 person stabbed to death, and 31 total people were shot between 6 p.m. and midnight. That's like 5 an hour. A 26-year-old man, 5 or 6 an hour, 26 was killed Friday night as he sat inside a vehicle in the 400 block of West 18th Street. Well, what happened at 6? Just after 11 p.m., a black sedan approached the victim and multiple men began shooting into his vehicle. The victim was struck in the chest and died a short time later. An hour later, a 37-year-old woman was fatally shot in the 0 to 100 block of South Albany Avenue. She was sitting inside a vehicle around 12:20 a.m. when an unknown offender fired shots at her and ran off. The woman suffered multiple gunshot wounds to her head and body and was pronounced dead at the Stoger Hospital. Police responding to a report of shots fired early Saturday morning found a man fatally wounded in the 2800 block of South Indiana Avenue. Officers discovered the man who had been shot multiple times inside a vehicle just before 2:30 a.m. He was rushed to the hospital but later died. 1 person was killed and 3 others were wounded in a drive-by shooting Saturday afternoon in the 8600 block of South Damon Avenue. According to police, the 4 people were standing in an alleyway around 3:20 p.m. when an unknown vehicle drove by and someone inside began shooting. A 23-year-old man was shot multiple times and died. 3 other men, ages 24, 39, and 42, were also struck and were all hospitalized in fair to good condition. 2 other people, a 23-year-old man, 32-year-old woman, were each shot in the 4200 block of South State at around 4 a.m. Sunday morning. Police said both victims were uncooperative and refused to give any details about the incident. The man who had been shot in the chest later died at the University of Chicago Medical Center. A 28-year-old woman was found stabbed to death in the 3400 block of West Walnut Street on Sunday. Police said the victim was found unresponsive with several stab wounds to her body. Investigators have spoken to a person of interest in the incident. It is believed to be domestic in nature, so that one may not be part of the overall. Another woman was killed just after 7:30 p.m. Sunday on the 6400 block of South Kilburn Avenue. According to police, 2 women were arguing when a man approached and shot one woman in the head and body, killing her. Police Superintendent David Brown is scheduled to speak at a press conference Monday afternoon. That was yesterday. I know not about that result, but it's not giving me any background or any information or data as to how or why. So, making a stab, right? So they're saying 6 p.m. Friday and 11 or midnight on Sunday. So I miscounted my number of hours. So some of these that happen late at night some of these are going to be, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the U.S., and we're finding that it's not really working. But then again, this is true across the United States, that you are not going to what's the word? Regulate bad people into being good people. Right? Regulating. Now, I get some gun regulations, kind of like driving a car. You got to have some accountability for the guns that are out there. However, just like with automobiles, there are lots of people driving without a license, driving without insurance, driving with stolen plates, driving stolen cars, right? So the criminal aspect of this is what needs to be addressed, not the good people. I work with a number of people who are packing every time I work with them. And I have yet to actually see the hardware or the tool or whatever the term, politically correct term is for the weapon or firearm or whatever it is. Because most of the most responsible adults are going to be normal. It's not like this marketing guy at the hospital recently. I can't remember what city it was in. The marketing director. I got to find that story. Because this is where the gray area is. HOSPITAL. Let's see if this brings up New Jersey. There it is, coming out of NBC News. Here's one for you, and please correct me if I have your name rhyme. Is it Alice Redmond? And I'm guessing the pronouns would be she and her. I deal with a lot of really strange names, and I can't always, Anyway, NBC News, I'm not sure who wrote this one. Marlene Lenthang. New Jersey hospital marketing director arrested after a cache of 39 guns and ammos are found in an office closet, an unlocked office closet. So, should Christian Ellis, who is out on bond after shooting a bunch of people or shooting at a bunch of people in a Wendy's, were to stop by the Hudson Regional Hospital in New Jersey and stumble into a closet that had 39 guns, handguns, shotguns, assault-style guns. Ruben Alana Layoff. Well, you are getting laid off. Who worked, past tense, at Hudson Regional Hospital was charged with possession of an assault firearm and 2 counts of possessing high-capacity magazine, the Secaucus police said. Now, here's the thing. 39 guns, and he's only arrested, and he's only charged with 2 counts of possessing high-capacity magazine and 1 assault firearm. That is pretty ridiculous. I mean, obviously, he had something going on. All right, New Jersey, haven't heard back from you. A New Jersey hospital marketing director was arrested this week after a bomb threat at the facility led police to discover a cache of weapons and ammunition stashed in an unlocked office closet. If I pronounce this right, Ruben Alanaleoff, who worked at Hudson Regional Hospital, was taken into custody Sunday at Newark Liberty International Airport with assistance from the Department of Homeland Security investigation. What was he doing at the international airport when they uncovered the bucket of guns? Alana Layoff, 46, of Elmwood Park, was charged with possession of an assault firearm and 2 counts of possession of high-capacity magazine. What about the other 38 weapons? Lawyer information for him was not immediately available. The hospital got a call on July 18 that a bomb was in the facility, Secaucus police report said. Officers, along with bomb detection dogs, swept the hospital. A dog flagged the unlocked closet, officials said. Upon entering the closet, police discovered a large cache of rifles, shotguns, and handguns, along with assorted ammunition for the firearms. In total, authorities found 11 handguns of various calibers, 27 rifles or shotguns, and a high-capacity magazine with 14 rounds. Authorities said they also found a Chris Vector 45 caliber semi-automatic rifle with a high-capacity magazine and determined that it was an assault rifle, police said. Authorities learned the bomb threat was a hoax and investigated the arsenal of weapons. It's not clear how the weapons got into the hospital. I could give you a guess. Not sure how the weapons got. He carried them in there. No, they walked on their own 2 legs. They flew in. No, it was the magical Bewitched, right, where Tabitha just twinkled her nose and 40 weapons appeared along with ammunition, and how it's not clear the weapons got into the hospital, my butt. How long they were stored there, oh yeah, and why they were in the office closet. Well, he wasn't going to hang them in the window. NBC News has asked officials for comment about those details, as well as Alan Alayoff's status with the hospital. He doesn't have a status anymore. The unsecured storage of a large cache of weaponry, especially in this location, certainly creates a risk to public safety. You think? Police Chief Dennis Miller, boy, he's on top of it. He said, I commend the efforts and professionalism of all the police personnel involved in this investigation, and am thankful this situation was resolved without anyone being harmed. Yeah, I'm glad Christian Ellis wasn't there. Right, he would have shot up the whole place. Yeah, you didn't get my burger right. There's supposed to be bacon on here. No, I got short of 4 fries. That's 4 bullets for you. This is who we are as Americans, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have become. Anytime we disagree, the first thing we're going to do is shoot. I don't know how to fix that. Gun legislation is not going to do that. But burying people under the jail, that might do it. Right? Let's eliminate privately run prisons. And we just do, Arpaio, I think his name was, Joe Arpaio, the U.S. sheriff. Okay, a lot about him was a little out of control, but he did have a few valid points. The only way you can get these people off the streets is keep them off the streets. There are plenty of stories where people who are out on parole or on bond commit more crimes while they're out on bond. No, let's stop doing that. If the person has done something violent, especially with a handgun, and it's an illegal handgun, right? It's not been registered. It's not, a legit handgun. Bury that person. $17 million bond. There's no reason for this person to get out. He's 19 years old. He's probably not engaged or employed in anything that's going to be considered. What was it? What was the term they used during pandemic? Essential. That's right. I doubt that Mr. Gun-toting thug is employed in an essential capacity for something that's going to be, I don't know, just completely negate this type of behavior, right? Yeah, that's fine. Christian runs around with a gun shooting people all the time, but he's really good as a TSA agent or whatever his job is. I'm betting his job is crime. But you let him, and how did he come up with $100,000 bond? That's a lot of catalytic converters. Or maybe he's the one who broke into the jewelry truck, into the Brinks truck. Who knows? But we have become such horrible human beings that we would do this to each other without batting an eye. And the thing is, when they tried to interview the guy, he just ran away. So Mr. Alana Layoff is pretty much a wimp, a wuss, and a complete failure of the American system. And, I think he should be trounced, paraded in front of people while we can throw stuff at him. Horrible human being, endangering. Just really? So Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the U.S. 30 people were shot inside of the weekend, right? Not at all like what happened during the 4th of July weekend across the country. I understand population control, but this isn't really the way to do it, and I don't think Christian Ellis or any of these other thugs are going to be the person I would deem as the best choice for determining who lives and who dies. Now, Christian Ellis himself might think that because you ruined a burger, I hope they bury him under the jail. I really do. I don't know why they even let him out on bond, $100,000 bond, right? How is this how about if we change that up? Because the whole idea behind incarceration is to sort of be a deterrent against either repeat offenders or other offenders who might think that this would be cool. If you bury Christian Ellis under the prison and never let him out, like somebody should be tailing him, and the moment he touches a gun, they just bust him again. And a violation of your bond, oh yeah, they bury you. Or at least they should, but not anymore. And I don't know if this is a left or a right. I really don't care. But I do know that it's rather slack, right? I mean, in school, as a child, if you talked back to the teacher, there was a period at the end of the day before you went home that our teacher would line you guys up. All of us, me too. I was in there more than once. And you would get one good swat. You had to hold on to the desk with your butt facing the entire class. This is what happens if you talk back. Pop! It was a very good deterrent to not be a jerk in class anymore. I think every one of us got one. A couple of us got two or three. But by the midterm, by the midpoint in the year, all the kids were starting to have a little respect for the teacher. Now, I'm guessing that the parents of all these wonderful people are upstanding citizens themselves. Right? The 19-year-old Christian Ellis, I bet his mom is probably a welfare recipient. Somebody without any marketable skill of their own. Broken families are part of the problem, or at least one aspect of the problem, but this is, again, we should make a crime okay, so that may be going far. We have some elements in place to hold men accountable for their child rearing, but it's only financial. And in some cases, I don't know if I would want Christian Ellis, if he had a child, to be involved in his child's life at all. I'd much rather throw him in a Christian orphanage, man. He's going to come out warped, but at least he won't be deadly. Holy mackerel. But that's, and in some cases, there's been a story, I can't remember the people involved, but it ended up that one's dead and the other's in prison, so the kid has no parents. The kid's like 4. That's not going to help. So, I don't know, prison reform, right? Because this seems to be their street cred. This seems to be their corporate ladder, if you will, in the hood. That they don't get any credibility and they're not cool and it's not, I don't know. That you have to, and I bet that's what a lot of what was happening in Chicago was about, was initiations into gangs. You just have to be able to go randomly kill somebody, because if it's somebody you don't know, it's easier to kill than somebody you do know. And once you've taken a couple of human lives, it becomes less of a psychological impact, because you've already done the one. After that, it's all, just stacked. So now there's a whole bunch of thugs running around with guns in Chicago that have just been vetted into a gang, running around with guns. And of course, more gun reform is going to solve that problem, right? Just like the family court system is going to solve all the broken families. We're going about this all wrong, but we're going about this with the only weapon we understand, and that's money. We like what money can do, but we're not paying attention to what it is actually doing. And that's kind of disturbing. But hey, as long as we're going to, because think about it, all of these regulations, all of these permits, all of these forms for a gun is nothing but money. That's all it is. It's a rubber stamp making money. Every time you go bump with a stamp, you make money. Another $50, $20, $80, whatever the registration or administrative fee is, it's money. Money, money, money. So this Second Amendment has a caveat to it that there needs to be responsibility for this. And if you let people like Christian Ellis back out on the street with apparently a measly bond of $100,000, I'm guessing he went to some bond guy, bail bondsman, who's probably going to be out $10,000, which is a fine. It's 10%, right? To pay the bail bondsman, you have to pay them $10,000 in cash, and then, oh yeah. And of course, we're not going to get a lot of follow-up because that never gets the clicks, likes, and views. But it would be interesting to see what happened to Christian Ellis and the rest of his family of friends, right? Another 19-year-old buddy of his and a 33-year-old lady. I'll at least put female down. But it does not look that she has any marketable skill besides, sexy time. I don't know that for a fact, but A 33-year-old woman hanging out with a couple of 19-year-old thugs is not what I would consider a healthy relationship. There it is. Had to hit the right button. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give me just a moment to get our news break out there and some sponsorship advertisement words. Even if you don't use their service, if you would, please do me a favor, call them and thank them for supporting the Big Talker so that we can stay on the air and be the station that you want us to be. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone back. We'll be right back after these messages. Please don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. The first full week of classes officially underway as thousands of traditional school students across the Cape Fear headed back to class yesterday. New Hanover, Pender, Brunswick, Columbus County, and Whiteville City schools say there were no issues on the first day. All of the schools in those counties have at least one school resource officer on campus, and some larger schools may have 2 or more. Surf City schools are patrolled by the Surf City Police Department. We reached out to Bladen County school officials and are still waiting for a response. With students back in school, technology is top of mind. New Hanover and Pender County District Attorney Ben David says his office has made an internet safety contract for families to review with their kids on how to safely use devices online. David says a team of law enforcement and judicial leaders developed that contract. He says child predators use social media and the internet to target children, and many kids aren't aware of the signs or what steps to take if someone they don't know talks to them. The internet safety contract urges parents to discuss the amount of time their children are allowed online each day, only using apps approved by parents, and which images should not be posted on the internet. Law enforcement statewide have begun stepping up patrols to stop impaired drivers during the annual Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. Last year, more than 400 people died on North Carolina roads due to alcohol-related crashes, including 15 during the Labor Day holiday weekend. This year's campaign runs through September 11th. And UNCW faculty, staff, and students will commemorate the 4-year anniversary of Hurricane Florence with Wings Up for Wilmington, a day of service. It will take place on Saturday, September 17th. Volunteers will work with 24 organizations on various projects, from safety-related home repairs to planting in community gardens. The event also includes a campus-wide food drive throughout September to benefit Nourish NC. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. A bit unsettled at times on this Tuesday, but not as wet as it was on Monday. We'll be dealing with hit-or-miss downpours heading into the second half of the day as our temperatures inland of the coast get to where they should be for this time of year, into the upper 80s. Low to middle 80s will do it for coastal areas today, with a moderate risk of rip currents for east-facing beaches. As we head towards the overnight hours tonight, temperatures drop back down into the low to middle 70s under partly cloudy skies. Get your full forecast on WWAY, WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
This week on All Things Brunswick, we're welcoming special guest Danny Ricciani to discuss being a gay conservative in today's environment and many other topics. All Things Brunswick, 6 p.m. Tuesdays, right here on the Big Talker Network.
Join Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient